The next speaker is Minister Knesset member Naftali Bennett. I don't see him yet in the room, but I'm sure he's on his way here. That gives me an opportunity. זה נותן לי הזדמנות לקדם בברכה את קרלוס ונבריץ' ממקסיקו סיטי שנמצאים איתנו. קרלוס ופרלה הם מעל גיל 70 והם הגיעו לכאן ללמוד במהלך סמסטר כאן במרכז הבינתחומי. הזוג הצעיר הזה, בבקשה מחיאות כפיים לקרלוס ופרלה ג'יניס, אנשים רציניים. ובשעה שאנחנו ממתינים להגעתו של שר החינוך, אבקש להזכיר שעמוס גלעד לא היה בין האנשים שקידם אתכם בברכה כאן, אולי בגלל צניעותו או בגלל איכשהו כאדם, אבל דעו לכם שכל מה שאתם רואים כאן בכנס זה בזכותו. הוא הוביל את הכל. מחיאות כפיים לאלוף עמוס גלעד. ואבקש גם להזכיר שפרופסור רייכמן הזכיר את הציונות ואת בן גוריון, וגם יושב ראש הכנסת הזכיר אותם גם, וכל מה שאנחנו עושים כאן במרכז הבינתחומי מבוסס על ציונות, ולכן יש לנו את בית הספר הבינלאומי שהם 35% מהסטודנטים, סטודנטים מ-80 מדינות שונות, ובקרב הסטודנטים הבינלאומיים הלומדים איתנו כאן יש לנו 170 חיילים בודדים שסיימו את השירות שלהם, השתחררו מהצבא ולומדים עכשיו במרכז הבינתחומי. מגיע גם להם מחיאות כפיים על כך שהגנו עלינו. אבקש גם לספר לכם שיש לנו עוד 150 חיילים בודדים שסיימו כאן את הלימודים ועכשיו משרתים בצה"ל, אז יש לנו קשר מאוד הדוק. מה שיפה כאן שאפשר לבוא לכאן וללמוד באנגלית, ואפשר לסיים את התואר הראשון או תואר שני באנגלית בלי לוותר על שום דבר, משום אתם מקבלים את תוכנית הלימודים הזהה שאנחנו נותנים לתלמידים הישראלים רק באנגלית. זאת אומרת שאתם יכולים לבוא לכאן ולעשות תואר ראשון בפסיכולוגיה או במדעי המחשב, בממשל ודיפלומטיה, בקיימות וממשל, או בתקשורת, או בכלכלה, או במנהל עסקים. כמעט שכחתי את הבית ספר למנהל העסקים, הדיקן יושב כאן. ויש לנו גם תארים שניים מצוינים שאפשר לקבל באנגלית. יש תואר שני בלוחמה בטרור, בדיפלומטיה, ותואר שני במנהל עסקים. יש לנו תוכנית חד שנתית למנהל עסקים וגם בניהול בריאות. ואנשים באים בהמוניהם משום שיש לנו מוצר חשוב שאנחנו משווקים כאן. ויש לנו גם תואר שני בהתנהגות ארגונית. כמה מכאן באים מחוץ לארץ בתוך הקהל? נא להצביע. אז כל מי שיש לכם סבים וסבתאות, לא כל כך הרבה אולי, אבל נכדים ונכדות אולי, או ילדים שרוצים ללמוד כאן, תודיעו לי. אני אהיה כאן בסביבה. ודעו לכם גם שלפני 25 שנים פרופסור אוריאל רייכמן הגיע לכאן. המקום הזה היה במקור בסיס תעופה שנבנה עם כמה בקתות שחיל האוויר השאיר כאן. המקום שבו הנשיא יושב היום היה המרפאה, וכאשר פרופסור רייכמן הצליח להשיג את המחנה הצבאי המוזנח הזה, הוא ראה 3 מילואימניקים שאכלו לוף ממנות קרב והם עשו מדורה קטנה במשרד שלו, מה שאמור בהמשך להיות משרדו, הם היו בדרכם החוצה, וככה נבנה המרכז הבינתחומי, ופרופסור רייכמן בנה את המקום הזה בדם יזע ודמעות ובלי מימון ומשאבים, משום שאנחנו לא לוקחים שום מימון ממשלתי ולא לוקחים מימון מהממשלה בירושלים, ולכן לקח לנו 25 שנה לזכות בהכרה כדי שנוכל להעניק תוארי דוקטור, רק 25 שנים, ולכן אנחנו בדרכנו להפוך להיות האוניברסיטה הראשונה בישראל, אוניברסיטה ללא מטרות רווח, ואנחנו מצטרפים לשמונה האוניברסיטאות הציבוריות, ואנחנו עושים זאת ללא סבסוד ממשלתי, ומשום שאנחנו עצמאיים, זה הופך אותנו למה שלנו, אנחנו ציונים, אנחנו קפיטליסטים, אנחנו מאמינים בשוק חופשי, ואנחנו מאמינים ביוזמות, וללא דיחוי נוסף, כבוד הוא לי להציג בפניכם את שר החינוך, ואני אעשה זאת בעברית. The Minister of Education, Mr. Naftali Bennett, the chair of the Jewish Home Party. He serves as the Minister of Education and Diaspora Affairs. He's a member of the Security Cabinet. He served in Special Forces Unit. Minister Bennett, if you would like to study here at the IDC, because of the unit in which you served as an officer, you would be exempt from doing a psychometric exam. You wouldn't have to know Professor Reichman personally. It would be enough that you were an officer in a combat unit. You would be accepted by the Special Committee on Security Forces. And because we respect the people who defended the state of Israel, that's part of our mentality, or that was the idea of Professor Reichman himself. And I guess somebody needed to have been an officer in the paratroopers under fire in order to invent that kind of procedure. And in 1995, he did an exit for 2005, excuse me, for $145 million. And he entered public life, and he has been leading reforms in the Ministry of Education in mathematics and English, in reducing the average number of students per class, and in closing gaps, and all that is the top of his priorities. And in the spirit of that principle, the budgets of the youth movements and the pre-military academies have been increased. And he has, of course, works with the Council of Higher Education, and he was the one who led the battle with the CHE so that we would be able to grant a PhD here at the IDC, and we are the first nonprofit university in Israel, one of the tribes of Israel, as a result of what? The amazing help provided by Minister Naftali Bennett. The floor is yours. With your permission, this is really irregular for a lecturer to come up to the podium and then I come up and head him off at the pass, as it were. But we must once again thank him in front of this audience for his extraordinary courage, for a minister of education to stand against the pressure of the university cartels and enable the IDC and open the gates to the IDC so that it can now advance and award and confer PhDs. And I would like to note that this comes from your approach, the broad approach and the all-embracing approach of Minister Bennett, and I would like to express my thanks for that. Thank you very much, Professor Reichman. I must say that in that big battle to bring this wonderful center that you have that you founded and that you lead, and to make it into a university, for me, it was not so difficult because I believe in you. I believe in your personality. I believe in your value system. Perhaps politically we don't always agree, but that's not relevant because you are a Zionist, and as I said a few weeks ago, the right does not have a monopoly on patriotism and the left doesn't have a monopoly on human rights. Both want to see a better state. What will soon be the university, the interdisciplinary university of Herzliya, reflects, as I see it, the understanding that higher education is important in of itself, but also because it is part of the national burden of the State of Israel. It's allowed to be involved in public life. It may take missions upon itself, such as public diplomacy, as helping the periphery and giving scholarships to help people who are willing to risk their lives for the state. And that's okay. It's a good thing to do that. So thank you. Thank you also to Major General Amos Gilad, Professor Alex Mintz, Professor Ganor, and good afternoon to everyone. Since the year 2000, Israel's strategy on the northern front has held on to a conception that I would call a disconnect. That was a conception, and I'll explain it. The meaning of that conception is to refrain from friction with the enemy, with Hezbollah in the present, out of a belief that over time, the Israeli deterrence as a whole would prevent war, or at least keep it as far away as possible. The mistake in that conception of disconnection was that thanks to the short-term quiet that we attained, Hezbollah completely changed its essence. But note that in 2005 and so on, until 2005, even when soldiers were abducted, we kept quiet. We hung the keys up, and we didn't go back. And in the 1990s, I was very familiar with that war in southern Lebanon as a platoon commander or a company commander. Hezbollah at that time was a small and not very strong organization. Over the years, Hezbollah became, thanks to that concept of disconnection, a significant threat with tens of thousands of rockets and an assault capability that is impressive. That conception gave us 6 years of quiet from 2000 to 2006, but when we encountered Hezbollah again in the second Lebanon tour, there too I commanded a force, we encountered a completely different Hezbollah. We encountered a Hezbollah that was much stronger, and Israel paid a very high price for those 6 years of quiet and disconnection. What's interesting, though, is that at the end of the second Lebanon war, you would think that we would reassess the situation and change the conception. No. In 2006 until 2012, over 2 governments, Olmert and the first Netanyahu government, we continued with the same conception. We are disconnecting. We're not engaging. There was a resolution 171 of the UN that determined that Hezbollah may not establish a foothold in southern Lebanon. They're forbidden. But nevertheless, in the first few months and the first few years after the war, when we started to see those outposts of Hezbollah along the border, we saw, but we didn't engage because we were still in that disengage conception. Another violation and another violation, and we turned a blind eye. And we reached a situation where in 2012 and 13, Hezbollah underwent another metamorphosis, scaling up, and now they have 130,000 rockets, and now we can say that Hezbollah is a significant strategic threat, not existential, but significant, a significant threat to the state of Israel. It's not Hezbollah of 2006, and it's certainly not Hezbollah of, say, 1998 or 1996, you name it. And that is why the lesson that we should have learned And that first segment from 2000 to 2000 was not learned in the second segment from 2006 to 2012 or 13. At the same time, we had the events of Operation Protective Edge, and after Protected Edge, I was already a member of the cabinet. We held an important debate regarding Israel's strategy in the north. Of course, I can't get into what was discussed at that debate and what the plans were, but I can tell you that I emerged from that debate, and during that debate, I said I felt that those plans were unsatisfactory, and if those are the plans, I will not support them. We need a completely different plan. And that moved a certain chain of events of rethinking things. And that debate, like in the first Lebanon war, represented for me a milestone in my own personal security doctrine. And in recent years, I have presented a doctrine that I call Lebanon equals Hezbollah. Lebanon equals Hezbollah. And simply put, that doctrine says that we refuse to disconnect between the sovereign state of Lebanon and the Hezbollah military organization. We consider them one and the same. The new equation is that if Hezbollah attacks Israel, that means it is a declaration of war on Israel by the state of Lebanon, and therefore we will hit Lebanon very hard. Why is that a just doctrine, and why is it the right doctrine? First of all, let's start why it's smart for us. The previous approach, in the context of which we worked in the second Lebanon warriors, will enter Lebanon and will start running after the rockets, and rocket after rocket will destroy them. So let me tell you a secret. My military profession for 20 years, I was a commander of rocket hunters. That's my expertise. If at home you ever need a rocket hunter, call me. I know how to do it. I'm pretty good at it. And after 20 years of hunting rockets, I can tell you, you can't hunt rockets. Technically, it's impossible. You have a house with a kitchen, a dining room, bedrooms, and you have a rocket room. The ceiling opens, you fire the rocket, and you close the roof. There is no technology that can go with tweezers and remove the rocket without any collateral damage. So hunting after a needle in a haystack is not the right approach. But imagine water. Have you ever tried to hold water? You can't, you know. But how can you catch water? If you freeze it. Suddenly you have a point at which you can grasp it. That's what we need to do with Hezbollah. And the point is the state of Lebanon. The moment we've created that equation, the address is not Hezbollah anymore, it's Lebanon. At the beginning of the second Lebanon war, Condoleezza Rice called Prime Minister Olmert and said something like the following: you do whatever you like to Hezbollah, you can destroy, but don't touch Lebanon. Olmert, I think, didn't understand. He was misled to understand that that could be done, and he agreed. And that's where the fate of the war was decided. That's what led us to that bad outcome, because it's impossible. Now, place yourself in the shoes of Nasrallah. Nasrallah has two different identities. He has a Lebanese identity, and he has an Iranian Shiite identity. As long as we held on to the previous doctrine that we were fighting Hezbollah, he benefited from both identities. He could fight Israel, and Lebanon was immune. His base, we all talk about the base, his base was unharmed. It was hit here and there, but nothing serious. Now we're saying no longer. Nasrallah, Mr. Nasrallah, you are branding yourself as the defender of Lebanon, but if you launch a war on Israel, you will be the destroyer of Lebanon. The public, the Shiite public, his base, wants to live. They like life. They don't want to fight Israel for no reason. When we were inside Lebanon, they had a reason, but now they don't have a reason if we're not inside. Certainly, they don't want to see Lebanon overjoyed for an interest that's 600 kilometers to the east in Tehran. What does the inhabitant of a village in southern Lebanon care about Iranian interests? Even the Iranian public doesn't want to see those kind of adventures, certainly not the Lebanese public. So Nasrallah has a dilemma. He's on the horns of a twin dilemma. And he understands very well that if he plays the Iranian card, he will destroy his own country. I said that it's smart, and I'll explain why. Now I'll explain why it's just. It's just because on the factual level, Hezbollah is the main actor in Lebanon. Just yesterday, we saw Hezbollah was part and parcel of the Lebanese government, of the Lebanese security system. There's no separation. They don't even pretend anymore. And that's why I will say, and Samat, an attack by Nasrallah on us will destroy Lebanon. As soon as we've placed that approach on the table, and we say it again and again and again, and it filters down, to a certain extent, Lebanon and Hezbollah are taken care of. It doesn't mean there's no threat. It means it's dealt with. And now we need to move over to Iran. In regard to Iran, for many years too, we had the wrong approach. We took the approach of there were different things happening to us, but there wasn't a single uniting force. Hamas were striking us, Hezbollah was striking us. In Syria, there are Iranian militias, and here we are moving ahead the octopus theory. And this is understood more and more. There is one octopus head sending out its tentacles to Lebanon with a proxy called Hezbollah, in Gaza by means of a semi-proxy called Hamas, in Syria with various proxies of mostly Afghani and Pakistani militias. The Iranians are very generous about sending other people to die for them. They don't like dying themselves so much, and that's interesting. That's not something that's self-evident. The Iranians don't want to die. Their post-trauma from the Iran-Iraq war in the 1980s is huge. People forget. At the height of that war, there were demonstrations against the war in Tehran. There was draft dodging, refusal to serve. Iran is not a tyranny. It's a kind of a democratic dictatorship. The public has a say, and we'll get to that. They don't want to die, so they send other people to die. So the octopus theory, the head of the octopus, creates a situation, an anomaly, whereas while we are bleeding because of the proxies in Gaza, Marun Aras, and Sajaiya, and so on, the head of the octopus is sitting comfortably back and enjoying himself. So the doctrine says, that's it, no more, we're done with that. We will start to target the head of the octopus, and we're not going to waste our energy on the tentacles. And finally, somewhere around 2013-14, we gradually moved away from the disengagement theory, and we moved to the engage theory. We started to work and act against the flow of arms to Hezbollah via Syria, and you heard the Chief of Staff said that there were dozens, maybe hundreds of actions there, and we gradually increased the intensity. And now we are working against the octopus itself, and those are actual Iranian soldiers in Syria, not the head of the octopus, but the octopus. What do we need to do now? The key words in this test against Iran are resolve and consistency. Resolve and consistency. Ladies and gentlemen, as a member of the Security Cabinet in the past 5 years, and as someone who attended some of the most important meetings in the past year, I can tell you with full confidence, Israel is stronger than Iran. Israel is more determined than Iran. Why? Because for Iran, the battle against us in Syria is a distant adventure. For us, it's life or death. There is an asymmetry in the meaning. They are fighting in some kind of Afghanistan as far as they're concerned. Imagine we were sending Israeli soldiers to some distant country like Afghanistan. How much would the public be willing to accept that? Not at all, right? Because it's an adventure. For them, this is an adventure, a megalomaniac adventure. And that's why we are much more determined than they are. For us, the lives of our citizens in the north and all of the country, we understand that. And so in the test of determination, Israel will be victorious. But, and perhaps I'll sum up this part and then conclude, if the Iranians continue on this same terrible track, they will soon discover that Syria has become their Vietnam. I don't suggest attacking Iran directly. It's not necessary. But the third stage is the head of the octopus itself. And I'll say what we do need to do. The state of Israel needs to build its capability to hit significantly in Iran itself in order to deter Iran from acting against us. They need to understand that the head itself is also vulnerable if they deal with us. That's the next stage. And the more prepared we are, the more we will move away the chance of war from us. The less we do that, we leave that asymmetry in place. And the last point is the future of Iran itself. Looking at the picture more deeply, in light of the megalomaniac Iranian policy, in light of the political, economic, social situation in Iran, I am reaching the following conclusion. The Ayatollah regime in Iran is living on borrowed time, and it will ultimately collapse. It will not survive over time because it is directing national resources and subjugating national resources and human lives and money to adventures that have nothing to do with the benefit and welfare of the Iranian people. The Iranian people are not looking for a nuclear arsenal. They want a better future for their children. The Iranian people are not interested in war. They want peace. The Persian people doesn't want to send its people and money to Syria, which can turn into a killing field for them. The Iranian people is a proud people, and they want to live a good life. So we're seeing that the regime is disconnecting increasingly from what the people want until we wake up one day and we'll see the whole thing collapsing, and the Iranian people will free itself from the radical regime. And from here, I would like to turn to the younger generation in Iran and say to you, the Israeli people deeply respects the Persian people. We have no desire to fight Iran. We have no territorial aspirations outside of Israel, certainly not in Iran. We are concerned with the education of our future generation to give our children a better future of peace and quiet. At the same time, your Iranian regime has set out to create a Middle Eastern hegemony and destroy Israel. It is wasting billions of your money and is forcing the country into a regime of sanctions and teaching your younger generation all to destroy Israel, and we will not allow that. If necessary, we will fight back with all the technological sophistication, financial power, and national spirit that we have, and we will triumph. We are determined to defend ourselves at any price. You, the younger generation in Iran, must plead with your regime to stop these dangerous adventures and start investing in your future. Thank you very much.